Everyone, I have an adorable project with Peeps. Yes, Peeps in resin. Actually, a couple projects. The last one turns out amazing. You won't believe it. You have to watch. The first project is with this little round mold. I pour a little bit of resin in the bottom, probably about an ounce, and then I stuff 2 Peeps in there. And when you pull the Peeps apart, the sides of them are white. The marshmallow part is exposed. So I actually took a little yellow paint and painted it and let it dry overnight. That's what's the dark, and the color really didn't match at all. But I just went ahead and stuffed them in there like that. Default to the side, so I stuck this little skewer in there and taped it to a box so that it would hold it up while the resin underneath it cured. And then I just set it up overnight, because if you put all of the resin in at once, the marshmallows will float up to the top. So I actually came back a couple of days, and I thought the first time I had filled it all the way over the top, but I hadn't, so I had to come back the next day and fill it some more, because still a little bit of it was sticking out at the top. In order for it to sit flat, you really had to have resin covering the little chicks. So the second project, I had this mold that I had gotten a while back, and I believe I got this on TEMU, and it had a wooden base because the mold itself is very, very flimsy. So it really has to have this wooden base built around it to support it. But even with that around it, you can see how the mold itself doesn't adhere to the sides. I'm hoping that when I pour the resin in it, it will flatten out to the sides. And this here is another mold that came with it that it's actually supposed to sit on, and you're supposed to put the little light strip in there. So we'll worry about that later. So next, I just mixed up the resin and poured about a 1/4 inch of resin in the bottom, and took these Peeps and put those on top of it. Now these Peeps are from the Dollar Tree, so it's just 4 in a row. And just keep in mind that if you get the packages where they're all connected, when you take them apart, there's white shows on each side or on the top. Even sometimes the top is connected to the bottom, so the top of the ears would be white. Whereas if you get the ones from the Dollar Tree, there's just 4 in a row, and they're all connected, and there's no white parts. So anyway, I just put that in, and I took some of this green glass. This is green Dollar Tree glass, painted with the Bombay, Dr. Martin's Bombay India ink, the color grass green. And I just put a little layer of that under the chicks. And after that had set up overnight, I came back the next day, and I added more green glass at the bottom. I was afraid that if I did the resin and the glass all at once, the marshmallows would float up to the top and the glass would be all over the place. That's why I'm doing it in layers. And then I also took some little flowers that I had. I have a ton of little acrylic flowers, and I just decorated the bottom with flowers and a little snail, I think it is. I thought it looked really cute. So then I mixed together some more resin, and this time I put it through the Airless Bubble Pro Resiners. It's a new machine, and look at how crystal clear that resin is. Isn't that beautiful? The only problem is when you pour resin over like glass like this that's piled high, and anything that it could get under, it can create bubbles, so you kind of have to keep up with it, and I kind of messed this up. So here I've poured a bunch of resin in, and that is still staying, not being pushed up at the side. And then I just went and got some glue. This is actually MAC glue. I don't know if it makes a difference which glue you use, but I put it in between the frame and the mold, and then used a little stick to push it up against the edge, and it seemed to want to stay now. Here I am just trying to get around the edges. Some of the glue is starting to seep up on the top, and I don't want any of it to get into the resin, so I'm just trying to clean it up real quick. Didn't feel like it was all the way full, so I put a little bit more resin on the top and just straightened some things out. And when I finish a project, I always come back every 15 minutes to check for glass placement or placement of whatever I have in the project. And I retorch for bubbles. I am not using the kitchen torch for this because I don't want to damage the mold. I do end up using the heat gun a little bit, And you see all those bubbles coming up. So after about 45 minutes, I stopped watching it. When I came back, there was some big bubbles, and I tried to pop them with a toothpick, and I kind of messed up the front of the resin. So I'll show you in 1 second when I demold it. If you're doing something deeper like this, you really should use a deep pour resin because it takes a lot longer for it to cure, and it gives it more time for the bubbles to rise to the top and pop on their own. So here you can see how I messed up the front of it. I was trying to pop those bubbles, and it just made spots on it. So I'm going to try to sand it and see if I can pour a layer over it and fix it. So here I'm just going to take it out of the mold. It really is cute though. I just have no clue how these marshmallows are going to hold up in there, but I'm going to hold on to this till next year and we'll see what happens. But look at how cute that is with the bunnies in there. Too bad those eyes are messed up. They must put those eyes on with some kind of a machine, a press they must run under, because some are fine and some are kind of crooked. Well, he looks like he's just looking at his friend at the side of him. And I think that glass at the bottom is so pretty, and then those little flowers and stuff look so cute. There are some bubbles on the back too, but I think it's kind of cute. So we'll see what happens after I sand it. And then this is the other one. I thought I was filming when I took it out of the mold, but evidently I wasn't. And this really did not turn out too good. I think it's kind of funny though. So you can see the sides, the white, and you can see where I painted it. I thought, but I did it a darker color. So yeah, where you pull them apart, it turns white, and then I got a big bubble down there at the bottom, which was the top. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to them so that we see what it looks like next year. This is it before I sanded it, and I hope you can see all those bubbles and everything in there. And so then I took it and I used the little deburring tool and went all the way around the edges and got that part that sticks up, because the back of it, the resin shrinks in the center and it kind of goes up along the edges. So I just wanted it all smooth before I started sanding it. So I brought it out to the garage and used an electric sander on it. And I've never used an electric sander on resin. I've hand sanded resin before to get spots out and then cleaned it up. Now this was a real mess because there was bubbles on top, deep bubbles, and it kind of was slip sliding away on this cardboard here. So I did put it on a silicone mat and it seemed to hold still a little bit better, but there's probably another mat I could have used that would have really gripped it. You really need to wear a respirator when you're sanding resin because you do not want to get these resin particles into your lungs. It's very dangerous. So and then I used the hand sander to try to go over where those bubbles were, because there was little pieces of the resin, white resin, stuck into the bubbles. So after I had it sanded down as best as I could, I brought it into the house and I used isopropyl alcohol to clean it. And I flipped it over and took regular Elmer's glue and put it on the back and used a spoon to spread it out to cover the entire back. This takes quite a while to dry. It actually, after 12 hours, it still was not completely dry. There was a wet area still, so I used the heat gun to dry it the rest of the way. This is to protect the back from resin drips, much like you would put painter's tape around the back of a canvas. So here I'm just trying to level it out, and also I use a little toothpick. There's two little holes in there that have some white dust, resin dust in it, and I'm trying to get it out, hoping that when the resin is drizzled over it, it'll fill in those little holes. But look at how clear it becomes as you pour it over it. So anyway, I just pour resin over it and spread it out along the edges, because you want to make sure it hits the top and the sides, and you have the protection on the bottom, and I just let it set up and cure overnight. And I made a little sign on my Cricut machine saying hanging with my peeps, and didn't realize that the S was missing. I had to go find it. And then I don't know if you remember the mold that I had before that I hadn't poured resin in yet. Well, I went ahead and demolded that,
because I did pour resin in it. And this is the bottom. This is what it sits on, and you can actually put a light strip in it if you want. Sorry, it's a little off camera. And then I take my Cricut words hanging with my Peeps and put it on the edge of it. Okay, so this is it all done, and it looks cloudy because it has the Elmer's glue on the back. I think I got rid of most of the bubbles and imperfections on the front. And so to get the Elmer's glue off, you just gotta start it somewhere, and sometimes you have to push something sharp under there to get it going, but I was able to pull a little edge off, and then it's so cool, the whole thing just peels right off. A little bit's hanging on the edges, you just have to pull it off, but isn't that cool? And all the little bumps come off. And isn't that crystal clear now? I think there might, see on the back there's still bubbles, it created bubbles, but there's nothing you can do about it. But the front looks so much better now. And look how cute it is standing up. I think that turned out adorable. Hanging with my Peeps.
Hey everyone, didn't that turn out adorable? So it also has the light strip that you can put in it, and I'll show it to you. I've got a little plug here. So this is the light strip that you can put in it, and it just sets in the little groove there, and it actually has a sticky piece to stick it down, even though I didn't do that yet. And then you just, here, let me turn it on and put this under it. But if you have a lot of bubbles in your project, it enhances them. It makes them look twice as bad. But isn't that cute? I think it's adorable. And the sanding really worked. I mean, it looked terrible on the top, and the sanding took the majority of the imperfections right out of it. Now, the back of it, you probably really see the bubbles. I hadn't put it through that machine that I have, the Resiners debubbler, and then I didn't spray alcohol. So things that you can do to prevent bubbles are, for molds, are to spray alcohol before you pour the resin, spray alcohol after you pour the resin, and then kind of babysit it for a while. And unfortunately, that glass created more bubbles. And I'm wondering if I should have soaked the Peeps in resin before I put them in the resin. That may have helped too. So like you do with flowers before you put them in resin. So there's all sorts of things you could do, but when you're doing something this deep, because the first layer wasn't that deep, it was like maybe 1/8 of an inch. The second layer was maybe 1.5 inches, and probably should have used a deep pour resin. Deep pour resin can take up to 2 or 3 days to cure, and in the process of curing, the bubbles all raise to the top and they pop, whereas these bubbles came to the top and they cured, the bubbles cured in the resin, so you could see them. So I need to get a deep pour resin. I rarely do deep molds like this, but I mean, this isn't super deep, but it would have really helped in the process. So anyway, I thought that turned out cute. I want to show you the other one that I did. So this, so this was my very first one I didn't show. So I got the stick stuck in there. Look at how funny. It's like a lollipop. And I tried painting the sides of that too. But I didn't take these out soon enough and see how the bunnies all came to the top. That's why for this next one, I poured just a little bit of resin in the bottom and let them cure. And then they didn't, well, they ended up, I don't know, I guess they might have expanded some and came up to the top. But look at that. Isn't that funny? I think it's cute. I might try another one. But yeah, like when you break these Peeps in half, the white part's exposed. My husband took a bite out of that. Do you believe that? It was sitting in the resin room for like 3 weeks. I said, didn't it taste stale? He said, yeah. But see how when you break them apart, the side is all white, whereas this is the side that's not. So if you can use 4 in a row, that's the best way to do it because they come 4 in a row. So anyway, all in all, I thought it was really cute. I have no idea how this is gonna hold up. It is just all sugar, so I would think it would hold up, but we'll see what happens. It's gonna sit in my little office room for the whole year, and I'll show you a picture after like 3 months and maybe 6 months and keep on showing you how it's doing, but I think it's gonna be fine. So we will see. Just like the jelly beans that I did, I think those are gonna be fine too. Maybe they might fade a little bit, I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. If you enjoyed the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I have the Facebook page going, amazing group over there. Come see what's going on. And I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching.